So we'll go ahead and get started. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Jessie Jim. I am the NAPS project field coordinator. So this evening's presentation is going to be provided by Diné College Land Grant Office Director Benita Litson, and she'll be presenting on cattle marketing. And I know we're getting close to that time of the year, so I'll go ahead and turn the screen over to you, Benita, and thank you again.
Thank you, Jessie. Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I am Benita Litson, the director of the Land Grant Office at Diné College, and I have been working there for the past 16 years and partnering with the folks with NAPS on offering programs and education to farmers and ranchers throughout the Navajo Nation. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about cattle markets. I do apologize. I had another presentation, nice, with a little bit more detail, and I was unable to find that. So I was able to kind of push this together through the week. So thank you guys for being patient while I go through my presentation. But basically, we've been talking about cattle production for the past few months with several producers, and it's pretty intense in regards to raising your livestock and making decisions when needed. And so we talked a little bit about drought management. We talked about livestock breeding cycle, vaccination programs. All of those play a hand in what you as a producer anticipate to do to market your livestock. So that's very important to make sure you implement those steps within your managing your operation, because the main thing I think we anticipate why we ranch or farm is the end product of receiving a product back or a return on what you have invested into. So I just wanted to start the slide with a few numbers from last year. So just to think about, over 7.2 million head of animals were slaughtered. Carcass weights were approximately 292 kilograms per head. That's, multiplying that's a lot. And then how many tons? 2.1 and 1 million tons of what we have produced were exported out. So those are numbers from last year. And so this year's number would probably be very, very similar. And next year, probably much different. Just thinking of what we're going through, not only just the pandemic, but we have been in a severe drought, so many cattle producers have sold off their herds. So we actually have a huge increase in what's in our feedlot system and how much animals are going to stay in the feedlot before they're harvested. So there, you can see like the whole cycle of our beef industry. There could be some how would you say, like a trying to squeeze through that door with a lot of folks going in. So we're kind of squeezing the market or flooding the market, pushing a lot of livestock into the feedlot system because of what we're trying to sell off right now. So one important thing, of course, is sort of understanding the life cycle of cattle production and in terms of the end product. So we have our breeding season for sure. We receive our offspring. Then we move to, before they're yearlings, we want to wean them off. We want to get them introduced to grasses and to be feeding on their own. Eventually, if you're a grass-fed beef program, you're going to keep them on grass and finish them on grass. However, if you're not, what happens next is, if you don't have a feeding program yourself, you would end up selling to the market, and your buyer would buy them at a certain age, and they would kind of do the grain finishing, just kind of introducing them to a grain-fed product, putting in some weight. And then your final stage is putting them into feedlots where they end up, gaining the final weights. And that's usually around 18 months to 2 years of age. So it takes that long before it gets to the harvest and processing center, which is your end stage. So there's a lot of moving parts to cattle production, and us as producers, we're primarily the first to, we're the breeders. We receive the offspring, we take care of it, we vaccinate them, we prep them up, and introduce them to grass feeds, weaning them off. If we have a vaccination program, we're probably already introducing stuff like the overeating disease, those things to kind of boost their immunity to get into feedlots. And if you think about feedlots, the livestock are in a confined area for a long time. It's almost like sending our children to the school. When one is sick, everyone's going to get sick. So you have to put in your own vaccination program to help your buyers to, understand how you as a producer is taking care of your livestock, and also becoming a reputable producer, so that folks can, rely on you, or you create that name for yourself, meaning, once I purchased that calf, I took it in, I had no problems with it. It didn't get sick, I didn't lose weight, the shrink wasn't that bad, those type of things. So a lot of times your buyers will end up saying that to you as a producer also, is can you, at least do the first part of the overeating disease, and we will do the booster section once we purchase. Those type of things, you can create those type of relationships as you move forward. But basically is creating a stage, sort of like a staging program for yourself, in order for your buyer or whoever you're selling to is prepared, and your product is definitely highly reputable. Let's see. Next is marketing your cattle. Of course, that's something I feel like is, everyone across the board would say that is difficult. We don't know how to do it. How do we do it? Us in general, as Navajos, we're typically pretty shy. We don't want to really communicate too much, or we feel like we don't know enough, so we don't butt our nose into anything, or we don't try to sit at the table a lot of times. But I feel like, as you become a little bit more savvy in understanding the market, you're able to not only just ask questions, but also learn some new techniques or new things that you can put under your belt to improve what you are doing. It does take a while. It's not, like I said, I always say it doesn't happen overnight, but you have to work toward that. So, of course, like I said, the main thing is receiving a return on our investment. So what we put into our livestock, we at least want to have a break even, or improve upon what we have put on, or receive a profit. In marketing cattle, is definitely, like I said, is most difficult part of running the ranch, more so because we're so used to just taking care of our livestock. We don't normally look at reports. We don't look at what's going on in the marketing system. We just kind of create, a schedule ahead of ourselves, saying this is when I'm going to, I normally send my calves into sale. We're used to that system or that process. And so we typically just go to the auction, drop off our animal, go do our grocery shopping, come back home, pick up your check, come home, and that's it. But you can actually do quite a few things, not only at home, but strategizing even at the marketplace to help you increase a little bit of money upon what you might be receiving back. So at the start is try to set some goals for yourself, meaning when do I typically want go to the market with my livestock? What weight do I want my livestock to be when I get them there? what will it take for me to, get to that particular goal? When do I need my calves to drop to be able to do that? I know when I've listened to several of Dr. Encinas' presentations, for cattle, if you just wait one more month for breeding season to your calves to hit the ground, you're already 100 pounds shorting yourself at the end if you're typically selling in the fall. So things like that, you got to really think about that. I know some of us, we take a challenge, we end up calving until April, especially for like my family, because we're in higher country. Even this year, even though we calved in April, we lost 2 calves to freezing. So those type of things, you either have a loss or either, you got to kind of manipulate your breeding season to be a little bit manageable. If you're good at telling, when your calves might be dropping, you might want to bring them into a barn where it's warmer. And for some reason, for us, we put these 2 cows, we left them out there because we've seen them pick up their babies earlier, and it just so happened to be a cold week that week. So we go out there every day, but it was already too late. And then the other things are the other types of markets, opportunities that are available for us is, primarily the sale yard or the sale barn, or we could direct sale to other folks. If you're, like I said, if you built yourself up, or if you consider yourself maybe creating a private treaty where you're able to find buyers on your own and sell directly without the sale yard being involved. I wanted to throw some things in here about livestock monitoring. Russell Tronstad, I believe, with the University of Arizona, has been pretty good about sending these out almost weekly or monthly, but it's available online, but this is actually just a snapshot of a 2-3 pager where they come together and kind of do a small analysis. So there's a write-up underneath as to what they are seeing and some projections. And this particular one was about pigs and hogs, but I did want to share with you, this is what the reports look like on the cattle side. So you can see on August 27, 2021, we had, these are feedlot cattle slaughter, thousands, these are in the thousands of heads. So last year, or last report last week was 651,000, and a year ago was 654,000. So we're slightly lower than last year. And then, of course, this is hog, sheep, and you can see sort of this year alone, we're a lot, we don't have the amount of slaughter that's happening as last year. Let's see, going to the weekly average price, you have your live steer. This is selling it just like as we do in the auction. So even though it says $125.98, these are usually like $1.25 per pound is what it's kind of indicating. So a week ago, it was $1.25, 47 cents. A year ago was 105. So this year we're seeing a little bit higher prices than last year. Dress steer means the carcass after everything has been shredded off, the hide, all the different the cuts of some of the fats are taken off, but this is the carcass weight. So once it's at that, this is the price of that particular carcass. For this last week alone, the last report was $2.04, so that's $2.04 per pound. And then a week ago was $2.01, and last year was $1.66. And you can see that's a huge difference in that. So that's kind of how you would read this particular report. If you had lambs, it would be very, very similar. but like I said, they have them every week, so you can kind of see the analysis. There's even, I'll show you later, the one I found in Colorado, but each state can also report their livestock sale yard reports too. So how are cattle normally sold? I mentioned earlier there's private treaty or there's auctions, which we are normally what we normally do is sell them to the auction, right? We gather them up, or we have some cull cattle that we need to send out. With the drought season, we definitely have to make some choices of either getting rid of some of our older cattle or some of our pairs. And so we had to make those hard decisions, but we normally take them to the nearest auction or the sale day that falls within our schedule. And for us, we have a few, I believe, the one in Kirtland's on Monday, the one in Cortez is on Wednesday, the one in Holbrook is also on Wednesday, and then we have Fridays and Saturdays in the Belen and Albuquerque area. So there's some choices. The things that we definitely need to take a look at is crossing state lines with our what we're selling. There's some new regulations that do occur as we cross state lines, meaning having your herd health certificates, this and that. So you have to make sure you contact the auction to see if that's doable. I know for us, I know my uncle, he didn't know of the state law and he sold, I think, some goats to Albuquerque, but USDA in Arizona had contact us, my family, and tried to get a hold of my uncle in regards to transporting livestock across state without a herd health certificate, that kind of stuff. And so luckily, sort of like it was your first time spent, so it was more of an educational experience rather than a slap on the hand. So definitely, you need to kind of take a look at that. For horses, of course, I think some of them require like your Coggins, current Coggins, things like that. So you could definitely have to work on those things. On your private treaty side, you can sell your whole herd of cattle, calves or cattle to buyers. You can invite them out, take a look, and you can create or negotiate that fair price, what you think is fair. And so you can do that also. And there's ways to I guess work toward that, is really getting out there and putting your name out there and finding some buyers that are willing to purchase. Sometimes talking to folks at the auction or the sale yard, and some of the buyers, sometimes they definitely are helpful in regards to the different types of folks that might be in the same business or looking at the same opportunities, or they themselves might be interested in being a part of your purchase or your sale. So most profitable operations, the market just does not mean getting the higher price off of your animals. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. It definitely involves other things such as understanding the markets and what the markets desire. So for instance, we have a lot of ropers out there looking for Corriente cattle. So we do have different breeds. And so looking at that market is definitely different from our beef market. And we always talk about during the beef quality assurance that, our product is the meat product of that animal, what we're producing, what we're growing. And so the Angus Association, the Black Angus Association, has created a really great advertising program marketing beef. And so, with the advertising program, it really created a higher price for the Angus breed itself. And even thinking about the blacks, the black cattle, even having higher prices. So you can see those reflections in some of your sale sale prices or your sales sheets when you're selling multiple colors, multiple sizes. So sort of understanding who your buyers are and what they're looking for. Finding the best time and the best place to market your calves. I had a really good chart that I used to use, and I couldn't find it, but normally it would you would see the months of the year on the months on the bottom, and then you see the time. We kind of sell our livestock, and so it's coming to fall time, and it reflects that we are selling our calves to the auction a lot more in the fall time, just because we're trying to beat either the winter, getting them off of the moms before they go into the next trimester, to make sure that the mom is healthy enough to go into the winter, or we don't have enough forage to keep the calves a little longer, so we're having to sell them off and around October, November, those type of things. So that chart was a really good indication of like how we grow, how we breed, how we have our, I guess, how we schedule our operation, meaning we usually calve in the spring. We keep them here with us for at least 6 to 8 months. And then we get them off to the market. And that's normally how we operate on Navajo. Some of the producers' responsibility, of course, includes, taking care of the animal, the health of the animal. I didn't include that since it was a part of the vaccination program, but during your calving season, once that happens, you already know, what is a bull, steer, or heifer, whether you're going to castrate certain ones. You kind of already know which ones you're going to, either castrate or kind of keep an eye on. If you have multiple months of calving season, you might want to group the earlier calvers together, with and then the late calvers separately at the sale, just because I was talking about that 100, a differentiation of 100 pounds at the end of you raising that animal, just based off of a month. Determining a target weight of when you would anticipate to sell. So at what point do you want to sell your livestock? You want to sell them at 500 weight, 600, 700. At what point do you want to, and then what are you going to do to create that target weight? So you definitely have to think about what your program is going to look like. At what point are you going to wean your calves? When are you going to get them introduced to grasses? Try not to increase stress upon them, because it'll be hard for them to gain those weights back when they start losing. Of course, identifying the time and place you will be selling to. So I remember as a kid, when my father, we did a lot of auction sales, but we took our livestock all the way into either Clovis or into Texas, just for those extra cents, right? And we took like 3 or 4 trailer loads all together. And so, that was the practice back then for my family, trying to research which one had the best prices, and being able to, drive out there and sell them. So, you have to kind of do your homework on what buyers are available. I know between Holbrook and Cortez, they're almost similar. I believe Holbrook has increased a little, they're very similar. I'm just thinking increasing in sales more so because of the state boundary issues. It's harder for us to get livestock across into Colorado unless you have these different types of permits. So it kind of gets tricky here and there. So we end up, we as Navajo producers end up selling to Holbrook. So just thinking alongside those lines, Identify, let's see, their sale yard. At the sale yard, once you get there, you as a producer can also get off of the trailer, out of the truck, and let the folks know who are sorting, tell them which livestock you want to be together. If you're selling mixed cattle like your steers, heifers, and bulls, you tell them to sort them. I want all the steers in one, I want all the heifers in one, I want the bulls in one. Or either by weights if you have some smaller animals. And I put these pictures in them just as an example. Although these cattle are the same size, this little red one can throw the prices off just because of uniformity. Your buyer might be looking for typical blacks. So you might want to put this red cow to the side and sell it separately or with another group. But these guys will probably give you a pretty even price. But once you throw like an outlier in there, can definitely mess with your prices. Here's an example of blacks and uniformity. They're probably all around the same weight, so you want to at least group them together in that fashion. It just helps the buyer, like anticipate how much they can purchase and how much they can put on their trucks. And when they come to the auction, they want to fill those trucks. They don't want to go back empty-handed. So they definitely want to look for uniformity, sizes, even color. So you wouldn't want to put like a scrawny small calf in with these guys because it might get trampled. Those type of things you have to think about too for whoever your buyer might be. So you can request, if you're not happy with the price, you can always request a no sale, and you would end up bringing the livestock back, of course, or you would wait, take them to another auction, or either wait another few weeks and hopefully the prices go up or down. That ends up becoming your call, but sometimes no sales are a must, just because sometimes the cattle prices is so low and there's no way you're going to, you put a lot of money into the animal. And so you don't want to lose on it. So that's kind of a hard decision that you would be able to make, but that's your right. Most buyers, like I said, look for uniformity, the color, the weight, the sex. But this definitely helps them as a buyer meet their goals. So if they're going out there to fill a truck, they can, based on what weights they're looking at, they can kind of anticipate how many head they can fill their truck. Strategies to increase and maximize values. There's some new ways to do so. So look for some special sales. They might have some calf, bull, heifer sales. And this is something like I think would be great for us to host as Navajo, to kind of really start building our reputation as producers, try to bring in some buyers that might be able to purchase our calves at good quality, and do like invite sales kind of things. That's kind of what I have always anticipated seeing here on the reservation. These types of sales are definitely a lot more concentration on specific management, meaning are they looking for replacement heifers, or mostly on the breeding side. It might be a bull sale. So look out for those. I know Cortez, they have, I think, like 5 bull sales. Sometimes it's all either registered animals or just an open sale, or they require you to at least make sure you have your trig test, or either the breeding soundness exams when you get to the sale. So the other is finding yourself a buyer, finding someone that you can bring to the ranch and purchase your animals. Let's see, we're going into the last 3 slides, but I wanted to throw some of these in. You can't really see the wording on here, but these are the years down here. But if anybody remembers, right around 2015, I believe, 2014, we had really good high sale prices. So this here, this is 2016, this is 2020, moving forward. But you see the fluctuation in our sale prices for livestock. These are the weights of the animals, and they're color coded, so you kind of see that within this. So it's a little blurry just because it's so small, and I had to make it small so it could fit. Here's another one. This is pretty much looks like the same reflection of that particular. You can see the peak in the 2014-15 time, the same time frame. So your blue is your calves, your black is your feeders, and then your reds are your feedlot. So typically, what this is the, like I said, 55 cents, 70, 85, 100 is $1, $1.15. That you can count that as that, and this is the year. So this is the average price of the animals going up. So on this side is the end product. You know, once we sell our calves, it goes to the feedlot, and then you can see it also be different in months wise. So we definitely, like I said, we sell our calves right in here, and it starts going into a feeding program. And so it definitely increases for them at the feedlot side, October, November, December. And so you can kind of see what's happening at the feedlot, what's happening over here as we're selling livestock. And so it definitely relates to each other. Here's the resource that I found. This is the Colorado cattle prices. So I put in the website here, but it shows you the 600, 700 minimum, the prices, the maximum price, and the average price. So, the darker is here, the middle is kind of hard to see, but that's the higher end. But here's again is the prices by the cents. Dollar, this one is right around $1.50, $2.60. And these are the dates that the sale yard has put their reports in. And here are the current sale yards that are putting their reports into this particular data. So you have Lohunta, Livestock Exchange, you have Sterling, you have Winter, you have Centennial. So you have several different options that are kind of feeding into this report. But you can also dig more, and I've seen data on like as close as Cortez before. So that's, you can go and kind of do your homework on how the prices are per auction or either per state. You can also go to USDA Agricultural Marketing Services. It's a little bit more tricky just because there's a lot of options to look up there. So sometimes you get flustered and you don't find what you're looking for. So that's kind of difficult. But those are the key points that I wanted to point out. But that's the end of my slide. I did want to kind of end it with this. There's some projections. So, they're talking about the forecast for next year to be the production for not just poultry, but beef in 2022 is expected to decrease about 2% as drought conditions quicken and pace of cattle slaughtered in the second half of 2021. So likely reducing cattle supply in 2022. So just anticipating, years next year, the following year, just because we're selling a lot of our livestock right now, next year we'll have quite a bit of beef being able to be sold. But as we go into like a market demand system in the next few years, we're not going to have enough beef to meet the demand. So sometimes the prices would end up increasing too. On the other side, why is there a demand for livestock so high? The sudden increase in dairy sales, egg, meat is due to the increase of meals being prepared at home with schools, workplace, and restaurants closed. this has made it difficult for livestock companies to cater to the increasing demand due to distribution in the supply chain. So because of what's going on with COVID, most of us are at home with our children and we're cooking 3 times a day, and we're not really relying on going out or those type of things. So we're definitely purchasing more of these particular products to feed our children, and they're unable to sort of meet that increasing demand. So everything, in conclusion to what I was talking about is, everything we do from our consumption to how we raise our livestock plays a role in the market. So it's not going to be good all the time. I think we've seen some really low prices. That 2014, 2015 year definitely were record highs for many of us cattle producers. And we're like, we sold some of our calves or our yearlings almost at $2,000. We've never seen that. And for it to drop so low again, it was like it hurt our pockets, and we're seeing with the projections, we're seeing at least an increase in some of these prices, and hopefully it'll stay there for a few years. So that's, what I had this evening. I hope that was helpful. So any questions, go ahead and shoot away.
Okay, thank you, Benita. If you guys have some questions, raise your hand and I can unmute you, or you can type it in the Q&A box. I just wanted to also share, there's an app also, it's called Cattle Market Mobile, and it gives you the end of the week prices on each state. It's nationwide, and so you can also look at that and give you an idea on what to expect for your calves at their weight and so forth. It's downloading last week's market price, and you can see at calves at 205 the price range, and then it goes on to the weights, and usually around the price, the weight you would sell, you look on there, and it gives you the range from 162 to 170, and you can expect that per head. And you'll it's pretty neat. Gives you an idea on steers, heifers, cows, bulls, pairs, and that way you know what you would be getting in New Mexico. And if you want to go to Colorado, you just click on that and it'll give you the report, and you can sit there and write it down, and you'll figure out which way you're going. Are you going to go towards Belen, Kirtland, Cortez, or Holbrook, and make your decision? So I just wanted to share that and add on to your presentation on how to find the price.
Thank you for sharing that, Jess.
No problem. Okay. And then also, I had a question for you, Benita. I know that the land grant office did the wool buy program. Are you guys looking into, kind of forming for cattle to find some buyers to, facilitate for the producers, not to go so far and to bring a buyer in?
That's definitely a goal of mine. So I am looking forward to possibly hosting some sort of unique sale. And I think starting with like the breeding program, or breeding like either our bulls or just to really get a head count of how many ranchers are out there that are definitely, moving forward in the direction of trying to, increase their markets or improve upon their operation. I think that's something that we can do. I haven't done so honestly, but it's definitely a goal of mine.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, I think I don't see any questions in the chat box, but certainly thank you, Benita, for providing your presentations this month and last month, and very informative. We also had some presentations from the livestock specialist from New Mexico State University, and she did some presentations on calf weaning, livestock vaccinations, and then also your replacement heifer selection. There's a lot of good webinars that we have hosted, and if you guys are interested, go ahead and go to our Facebook page or YouTube channel, and you can find them on there. Again, thank you, Benita. I think we have some questions. Jana, are you able to view in the comment box? Or maybe you, Benita, I'm sorry. All right, just a couple of comments from Michael and Jana. Good presentation, very informative. So next week, if you guys will be switching gears and going over to cover crops, join us. It's going to be presented by Brian Nesosi with the Diné College Land Grant Office. The Zoom information is there on the screen. It'll be posted, and we will email it out as well. So that concludes our presentation. Email us if you have any questions, or if you would like a copy of today's presentation or yesterday's, or any other presentations. So thanks again. Don't forget to fill out the questionnaire at the end of the presentation, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, thank you everyone for joining us, and stay safe and have a good evening. The Native American Producers Success Project, or NATS project in short, is a collaborative effort between Diné Inc., a nonprofit organization, the New Mexico State University's Cooperative Extension Services, and Diné College Land Grant Office. This project is being funded by USDA's Office of Partnership and Public Engagement and Outreach and Assistance for Socially Disadvantaged and Veteran Farmers and Ranchers program. The NATS project field staff consists of myself, our assistant field coordinator, Sharon Sandman, and our technology media coordinator, Jenna Johnson. We do have a couple of goals. The overall goal of the NATS project is to increase the profitability and long-term sustainability of Navajo farmers and ranchers. To help us achieve this goal, there are some activities that we're currently providing in 4 key areas, which include improving Navajo farm and ranch operations through a series of workshops focusing on crop-related topics and livestock-related topics. We are also increasing our Navajo farmers and ranchers' knowledge of and access to available programs and technical assistance provided by USDA, BIA, Navajo Nation, New Mexico State University Cooperative Extension Services, the Diné College Land Grant Office, and other professionals. We are also strengthening the organizational capacity of the Navajo farmer and ranchers Congress to address the current and future needs of Navajo farmers and ranchers. And last but not least, we are also facilitating Navajo farmers and ranchers' use of USDA programs such as NRCS, FSA, and RMA